There's nothing that happens in my life, literally. What we want for dinner will come down to, well, how do you think it'll impact the chances that the Jets wind up getting Aaron Rodgers? So Dominique is ready to go. Ryan Clark already tired of the conversation. But Graziano, I start with you. What is the latest?
You know that it was this day a year ago. It was the Tuesday before free agency week that Aaron Rodgers announced he was returning to Green Bay and redid that contract. So we're in the zone right now where it can happen. So whatever's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, it could be imminent. So here's the thing. He has to talk to the Green Bay Packers. I believe there have been conversations between Rodgers and the Packers about what they each want to do.
Say that again. You believe?
I believe there have been conversations between Rodgers and the Packers about what each side wants to do.
That feels significant to me.
Well, that had to happen before anything else could. Where that leads remains to be seen. There's a report out there this morning that he talked to the Jets yesterday. He could only do that if the Packers gave him permission. That would indicate that they've at least considered the possibility of him moving on somewhere else. So we'll see where that goes. The Jets, Derek Carr signs with the Saints. He was a fallback option for the Jets if they didn't get Aaron Rodgers. They've been locked in on trying to get Aaron Rodgers. And at this point, if he is moving on from Green Bay, they feel like the most obvious landing spot. Have I gotten you fired up enough?
Yeah, I couldn't be more fired up than I already am. Let's not worry about my level of fired up. Let me ask you this, though. I'm just trying to put things, look, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm just trying to add two and two together. We knew the first step after he came out of the darkness was that Rodgers was going to have to talk to the Packers. And he was going to tell them, do I want to continue playing or not? And then they would then get into if he wants to continue playing, whether it would be there or not.
Do we want you here? Yes, exactly.
If those conversations have begun, then there seems to me there's no logical reason why, if the conversation had been, hey guys, I want to come back and play in Green Bay again, and they said, yes, that's what we want too, there'd be nothing stopping them from just announcing that immediately, right? There'd be no reason for this to continue being strung out. So every minute that it continues, it feels likelier to me that that isn't what's happening here.
Right, and again, we've arrived at the point last year where the decision was finalized.
Right.
So this is the timing. This is when it should be happening, ahead of free agency. So, yes, we could, I mean, look, I don't know if he's supposed to be on McAfee today. It is Tuesday, so that is possible. But, yeah, I think there's two ways it could go. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's either back with Green Bay or he's somewhere else. And if it's somewhere else, the Jets are the most likely landing spot based on everybody else.
All right, someone call McAfee. And meantime, RC and Dominique Foxworth, let's go. RC, I know this is a topic that you have grown weary of, but let's face it, it's an incredibly important topic. One of the greatest players of all time is, at this point, I don't want to use the word likely, may very well be about to change teams late in his career. The last time we saw that happen, Tom Brady went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl. So what is your perspective on where we sit right this minute, RC?
Well, I mean, I think it seems like the Jets aren't on edge, or Jets fans shouldn't be on edge. I believe they made a decision that it wasn't about getting another quarterback that's better than quarterbacks on their rosters. It was about getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't believe that the Jets are looking to settle. And when you think about the way that Aaron Rodgers has moved through this offseason, it's starting to seem more likely that he won't be back with the Green Bay Packers. And so now, obviously, the Jets come into play. If the story is true that he's already spoken to him, it seems as if they would be his number one team. And I think the Jets would be every quarterback's number one team if you could pick where to go. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. You have a run game with Breece Hall coming back, and you have a defense that is tops of the league. And so that's where you want to play. And hell, who doesn't want to play in New York? Now it's going to be about, what does Aaron Rodgers truly want to do? Is this a situation to where he finds out, or he realizes he doesn't want to be in Green Bay, and then he meets with teams and realizes he doesn't want to be there either, and takes the scary route in which he says and retires? I know that he doesn't want to be, or the Jets didn't want to be like Whitney from A Different World. They didn't want to be sitting up there about to get married and waiting on Dwayne Wayne to come there and say, baby, please marry me. So they made a decision. It is not going to be Derek Carr. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers or nobody.
What do you say, Nick?
Well, I think that the Packers could be tired of Aaron Rodgers, but once they move on from him, they might be in the pits with Mr. Gaines, and that's not a good place to be going forward this season. But I do think that Aaron Rodgers has already made his decision, and it seems like the negotiations might be a little tough now because it feels like the Packers also have made their decision. So I don't know how you extract the top value what a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is worth when it's clear to us that you give him a chance to talk to the Jets, that you're done with him. And you give the Jets the inclination that they can get him, that they're moving on from him. And I also think that you remember the last time Aaron Rodgers felt slighted when they went and drafted a quarterback over him. They tried to replace him. He went and got back-to-back MVPs. He played last year with a hurt hand, and that might have limited his ability. But can you imagine Aaron Rodgers feeling slighted again in a new location? I imagine that Greeny, get excited. If he goes there, you better order your jerseys.
No,
you better have a new baby so you can name him. You can do all that stuff, Greeny. It's time to go.
Why are you saying no, RC?
Dom.
Why no?
No, Dom.
Change the names.
Because he's already exciting you, Greeny. I don't want to incite you this morning. You already going to have to go on a darkness retreat if Aaron Rodgers signs with the New York Jets. So not only darkness retreat, now you got to go make another baby, Greeny. I don't know if you're up for that much
gotta
work.
do it.
Darkness retreat and staying up late at night to take care of a new baby. That's a lot just to get Aaron Rodgers.
I don't remember making that part of the arrangement. I'm not sure which part of the arrangement.
I mean, you got to name somebody. You got to name somebody. I would say, though, that Aaron Rodgers is not a long-term solution, obviously. I think if you think back to when Tupac appeared on A Different World, it was a great episode. It was just one episode, though. So you're going to have 1 year of Aaron Rodgers being fun and outstanding, and then you got an offseason of misery, which is what Packers fans have gotten used to.
We haven't said the word Las Vegas Raiders in this conversation, but I feel like, look, we've turned this into a very Jet-centric conversation, and I get it. I'm the one sitting in the middle of it, so I understand why. But the reality is, for as long as this conversation has been going on, I feel like they've been at least part of the discussion. Is that no longer the case?
No, I don't think you can fully rule out the Raiders. It seemed like coming out of the Combine last week, the sense around the league was that they were looking at other possible options. But I don't think you can fully rule out the idea of the owner of the Raiders saying, hey, we got to go get in on this at some point before it's done with the Jets. The Jets make a lot of sense to a lot of people, and it seems like the most likely place for him to end up, assuming he doesn't end up back in Green Bay as usual.
All right, so then the one question, and I'm going to pause on this thought, and we'll come back and we'll do it a little bit later, but, I mean, RC, you played against Aaron Rodgers in a Super Bowl once upon a time, at a time when he was as good as any quarterback has ever been. There are people who believe that that time has passed. He's going to be 40 years old. By his standards, his numbers last year were not very good. There are two different ways of looking at that. Is Aaron Rodgers no longer the quarterback he once was, to the point that Neek is saying, or is there I'm not saying that Neek is saying that. Neek is saying the opposite, that maybe he's going to hear all of that and come back with a chip on his shoulder and go on a scorched earth tour somewhere else, because what happened last year really was he had two rookie wide receivers and a broken thumb, and he's ready to step in and be Aaron Rodgers again. We will find out the answers to those questions as we continue.
If he goes somewhere else, we're going to see an Eric Killmonger level season from Aaron Rodgers. He's going to go through the league and destroy everything because it seems like he's very much motivated by emotion, and nothing's wrong with that. And I think that everything's right with that if you're the Jets or if you're wherever he lands.
Go ahead, RC.
Dom. No, he's not going to show up in New York talking about, hey, auntie, we not getting none of that. When you think about relationships, right? When you think about relationships, it's not, sometimes you get lazy when you're comfortable in your relationship. Sometimes the relationship begins to wear on you and you can't be your best. And then that person moves on and they find somebody that motivates them and they get in the gym. They find somebody that supports them and they start to work better at their job and they get promotions. But you can't worry about that. You got to move on with you. And that's what the Green Bay Packers are. The Green Bay Packers are tired of being held hostage every offseason. The Green Bay Packers actually have a contingency plan, which they drafted 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Aaron Rodgers had his down year. So you have been planning for this, and aside from Aaron Rodgers' play, his behavior has shown you that you were right to plan for this. And finally, you got the football year that says, yes, I was right to plan for this. So you had the plan in place. Don't go back on it because you're scared he may reappear as the great Aaron Rodgers somewhere else because you've been planning for this.
I agree with you. But I do think that no matter how much you prepare for it, it's still gonna hurt when you open up Instagram, you start scrolling, and he posting pictures talking about happy with my new boo in the AFC Championship game. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
Part of that and how much it hurts will be determined by how happy you are with your own boo. And if that's even the right
That's
way
fair.
to put that, I
Thank you.
tried.
That is the right way,
job,
Greeny.
Beautiful.
Your own boo.
Jordan Love. I mean, that's going to be the new guy. And part of it, look, Brett Favre had very good years after he left Green Bay, right? I mean, that was a reality. He came back to Green Bay as a Minnesota Viking 2 years later. He took that team to an NFC Championship game. So he had really good years, but you never thought they made the wrong move because Aaron Rodgers turned out to be terrific. That's going to go a long way towards determining this. What do they really believe Jordan Love is the guy that he's ready to become the next in line?
To become the next Aaron Rodgers is a really high bar.
Understood.
As was next Brett Favre, and Rodgers, I think, in a lot of ways cleared it. But I think Jordan Love, they feel like, is a prospect that they believe can be a franchise caliber quarterback. That's why they drafted him where they drafted him. And I think they're at the point where they'd really like to find out if they were right. Remember, they got to decide by May 1st or May 3rd of this year whether to pick up his 2024 fifth-year option. I mean, that's a decision they have to make without seeing him play this year. So they're at the point where they have to know. And my understanding is they were very happy with his development last year. A lot of it obviously happens on the practice field and not in games, but they feel like he made some strides. So it may be time to find out.
Once again, we think the time is coming very soon. If the conversations have already begun, we could be getting word any minute, so we will certainly pass along any details. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.